It's Shikoda here, your software engineer. So in this video, I'm just going to talk about the automatically generated files and folders that Flutter will generate as you're beginning your project. And yeah, I hope you are already subscribed. If not, just go ahead and click the red button, share and like this video for more content like this. Let's get into it. Hi. Hi. Today, let's just create a new Flutter project, which is going to be simple, and see what happens when you create a new project. The first thing that we're going to do is go to View and just select Command Palette. And what we want to do is create a new project. If you don't have this one recently used, you can just go ahead and type Flutter in the search bar, and it's going to give you these commands that you can run. So now what we don't want to run Flutter Doctor or upgrade the Flutter, but we want to create a new project. So just go ahead and click that one, and it's going to ask us what exactly we want to create. So it's an application. And the next thing it's going to do is ask us for a folder where we want our application to be. So I'm going to keep my application in the documents folder. And in the documents folder, I'm going to select Flutter tutorials and just go ahead and select it. Now we have to give our project a name, which we're going to say um, it has to be in small letters, tutorial. Yes. And just wait for the magic to happen. So right now what it is doing is creating all the packages and the folders, the files, packages and dependencies that we're going to need throughout the entire development process for our applications to run, whether on an Android, iOS, web, macOS, anywhere. So right now it's asking us if we trust the author. And of course, yes, I do. Always trust the author. Just go ahead and click it. Um, so it's creating template app, right, whatever. And yeah, just wait for it. All the files are going to be here on the left panel of the VS Code. So this is just the output that is going to give us. So you can see that the files are now generating files, folders, and everything else that is there. So we just wait for them to um, build. Um, let's see. Is that all? It's still, it looks like it's still creating, resolving dependencies and all that. We just wait for it for a bit. And yeah, yeah, they're still coming. Or done. Your application code is in um, main.dart, which is this one. So what Flutter does is it actually gives you a full code, a full application, which is functional. Just to show you a few things like how text and counter are actually displayed. Could run this and just see, but we're going to discuss we're going to discuss this whole page later in another tutorial, but for now we want to talk about the files and the dependencies, everything that has been created for us, what each file mean, what each folder mean. I mean, so this is the project that Flutter generates when you just create a new application. And it generates a project when you create a new app so that you have a basic structure to start building your application in. As you can see here, you have your how the text is going to be viewed. You have your app bar, and then this is just the scaffold or where you're going to be having everything else that is going to be in the app. It also gives you this counter, which is using counter class, but we're going to get into that later. What we want to talk about is this project actually contains all the necessary files and folders to get you started, which are here. And in this video, we're just going to talk about that. So we're going to close this and expand that. So yeah, let's get into it. The first one that we have here is the Dart do. This is a folder that contains a lot of information about the Dart SDK. It's mainly used by the Flutter tool, and most developers want me to interact with it directly. Like myself, I've never like touched anything that is in this, but out of curiosity, I just wanted to find out what is in there. So yeah, it's just containing a lot of information about the Dart SDK. Inside this, you'll find things like the Dart Analyzer, which is a tool that helps you write better code. It checks your code for any potential problems or errors and can give you suggestions on how to fix them. For example, if we go here and I just try to delete this, you see it's going to give you like all these things. It's going to um, underline everywhere that is not making sense just because of the D that I have deleted there. So all these things are analyzed by the data analyzer, which is found in the Dart 2. Let's put it back and try to remove something that is not going to give us a lot of problems. Let's see, anything. Okay, let's try removing these const here. This one is, like I said, it's also going to the drought analyzer is also going to give us some suggestions on how to fix them. So we just go here and say quick fix. These are the things that we can do to fix this error that is here. So the errors that are in red, they cannot be ignored. But these ones that are in blue, you can actually ignore them, but it's not advisable. We're going to talk about that later in another video, but for now, I just wanted us to see how the data analyzer actually works. So we can choose to add the const modifier back, and it's just going to take everything else, the error away, or we could choose to click fix, ignore, and then if we also click the ignore thingy, it's going to give us like that. So that's what the Dart analyzer does. And there's in the Dart tool, there's also a Dart compiler, which is a tool that takes the Dart code and converts it into machine code that can be run by the Dart virtual machine. The compiler also performs some optimizations to make your code run faster. One other thing that the Dart compiler is that it is a very important part of the Flutter tool chain, as it is what makes your Flutter app run on different platforms. So, like as you already know, I think by now that Flutter is a cross-platform development technology. So as you can see here, you have your Android, you have iOS, you have Linux, macOS, and web Windows. All these platforms, they can be, you can actually use this one code and run them on all these platforms. So the Dart compiler does that for us. And then in the Dart tool, the last thing that is there is not the last thing, but the other thing that is there is the Dart virtual machine, which is the engine that actually runs your Dart code. It takes the machine code produced by the compiler and runs it on your devices. So some of the folders that are in here, the files that are in here that you can actually see are package config dot JSON. This file is just used by the Dart packages resolution system to determine the available packages in their version for your project. So you can see here it says config version, which is 2, and then all the other packages are just down below. So that's what happens. That is what is inside the package configuration. .json. And the other thing is the version, which is this file contains just the version of the Dart SDK being used by the Flutter project. So in this case, we have 3.1.13.1.9, sorry. So yeah, that's basically it about the Dart 2. The next file or folder that we have here is .idea. Um, folder. So this folder is generated by the JetBrains IntelliJ IDEA or Android Studio, where it is also based on the IntelliJ IDEA development environment. It contains configuration files and settings specific to your Flutter project. When you use these IDEs for Flutter development, this directory contains a set of configuration files, which are these ones. So XML, we have module.xml, workspace.xml. So these configuration files contain information core to the project itself, such as names to the project itself, such and locations of its components, modules, compare settings, etc. etc. So as you can see here, we have the module, which is going to give us where exactly it is. You have your file URL here. So this is basically the name that I was talking about. Um, and yeah, everything else that happens about the project is in here. The next folder is the Android folder. So this one is this folder contains the Android specific files and resources for your Flutter application. This folder contains things like your apps manifest file. You have resources, and build scripts. This folder is crucial when you want to configure, customize, or work on the Android platform aspects of your Flutter application. Without this folder, you wouldn't be able to create an Android application with Flutter. Like if you just delete this, then this application is not going to be running on an Android. So everything that is in here is specific to an Android. You have these the build dependencies. Yeah, you just don't have to mess with them. um we also have, okay, so we also have iOS, Linux, macOS, web, Windows, which actually do the same thing. They're just files or folders with files that contain specific to the platform that you want to be running your machine on. And let's talk about the main folder here, the lib folder. This is a critical directory where you write your Dart code to build the logic and user interface of your Flutter application. It includes all your Dart files, including your main.dart, which is sorry, this one. Um, and it also includes all other libraries you've included in your project. But for this one, we haven't included anything else. It's just the first file, which is the main.dart file that comes with the application. And so this is where you spend most of your time when creating a Flutter application in the lib folder, because you if you want to be creating other modules, if you want to be creating any other business logic or the user interface, you have to be creating in here. For you to create that, just if you want to create a new file, you create here. For example, if you want to create, say, constant dash, for you to be keeping all the constants, for example, the colors in your applications. If you want if you want all your buttons to be pink, then you're going to be to state them here. But this file cannot be outside the lib folder. And also, if you want to create a file, maybe you want to create say pages, different pages, you just create that, and then you say inside the pages you add something like homepage dot dart. So for your folders, you don't have to add any extension, but for the files, you add the .dart extension so that the compiler knows that this file has to be generated, it has to be compiled rather by the Dart compiler. So that's what happens in this. In the main, you don't really have to rename this file, the main.dart. This is the most important file in your Flutter project. It's the entry point for your Flutter app, and it's where the app's execution begins. This file contains this main function that is here. And it is called when your application starts up. This function initializes your app, and it sets up the Flutter framework. Everything that happens in it starts from here. Without this file, your application would never be able to run. So yeah, when you want to customize, just change everything else that is here. You can change the title, you can um, change the return thing to put it maybe to a scaffold, just returning a scaffold, or you can change anything else that is there, but just make sure that you still keep the main function here and call everything else inside as it is down here. But we're going to talk about this in detail later. Let's continue with our folders and files that are here. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the text folder. In the test folder, this is where your application unit tests are stored. So, what is a unit test? It is a small piece of code that tests a specific part of your application to make sure it's working correctly. And you can see in here, this is just a code, but it is checking on individual widgets or things that are actually in the main. So it tests everything that happens so that it is working correctly. This folder contains all the files needed to run your application unit tests, including any test frameworks you're using. Unit testing is an important part of software development, and the test folder helps you make sure your app is working as expected. This folder is where you can write test cases for your Flutter application. So if you want to include any other test units or unit tests, you have to bring them here and not in the actual main.dart file. So this folder or this file is a crucial part of the development process to ensure that your application functions as expected and to catch and fix any issues early. Like you don't want to be finding problems or errors once um, s- you've already run your application, or if you've already sent out the APK or something like that. So this test folder does that for you. The next thing that we're going to talk about is this file. This file is it basically lists the files that should be ignored by version control systems like Git. This is important because it prevents Git from tracking changes to files that are specific to your local development environment, like your IDE settings. So if you, for example, just change like how you want your VS Code to be looking or whatever, it has nothing to do with the application. So this file right here tells the version control not to mind whatever else happened with the VS Code. So that is what is this one does. This file is essential for keeping your project organized and easy to manage with Git. The next thing that we're going to talk about is this dot metadata. This folder is used by the Android Studio IDE to store settings and preferences for your Flutter project. It contains information about your project's layout, files, and build options. So this emulator that I'm using, um, I created it in Android Studio. So for VS Code to be talking to this, everything else that happens is stored in here. So you can see next thing that we're going to talk about is the analysis options.yaml. This file is used by Flutter Analyzer to configure how it analyzes your code. So I remember we talked about Dart Analyzer, which is found in the Dart tool. And so this one, the analysis option, it allows you to customize the behavior of the data analyzer, which is a tool to analyze and detect Flutter in your Dart and Flutter code. It helps to ensure code quality and adherence to coding standards. So this analysis options.yaml is important for making sure your Flutter code is safe and efficient. Well, what it does, it includes which warnings to show and which files to analyze. If you have particular files that you don't want to be analyzed, or maybe some warnings that you don't want to be having, for example, like if you have missed const or anything else, then you can actually put everything in this file, and Data Analyzer is going to be ignoring those things. So that's what happens in here. The next one we have is this pubspec.lock. What this one does is it contains all the information about the dependencies that your project needs to run, including the exact version of those dependencies. So as you can see here, you have your dependency, which is trans, trans transitive. But yeah, you get the gist. I'm not an English teacher, please. Anyway, so all the other dependencies like these ones, the Caratino, anything that has to do with dependencies packages is found in this one. But get this, there's also this pubspec.yaml, which has almost the same thing. It also contains like the files. It includes things like the project name, the version number, and the list of dependencies that you need. This is also where you can configure things like the project's target platform and the build configuration. But these two are actually different. This pubspec.lock depends on, or it builds from this pubspec.yaml. This pubspec.yaml is where you can actually configure and change things. Both of these are automatically generated by the Flutter application at the time that you are creating it. But you cannot change anything in this. It does the changing on its own. You only have to be changing in the pubspec.yaml. For example, if we go down here, we will find here where you are going to add, if you add assets in your application. If you want images and all that, you just uncomment that, and then you give your folder, or if it's just going to be one particular image, then you're going to do that. Just remove the folder where it's coming from, and then save it. Oops, sorry. And then Control S, you save it. If it's going to be coming from, maybe just because we don't have that kind of image in the folder or asset in the this application, that's why it's giving us the green, I mean the yellow line under it. The yellow line actually shows that we're having a dependency that is not being used. So yeah, if for example you have your assets in pages folder, and then maybe there is images folder, and then the actual image that is there, you also have to specify in here. So that's what happens. You cannot change all these things in this. This one is going to change on its own. It's going to be generating based on what you change in here. Anyway, so let's just control C, control C, control C, control C. Yes, we have everything now. Now I should go now. Anyway, so that's it about this tool. So like I said, these two are actually similar, but they don't do the same thing. This is generated by the machine for the machine, whereas this one is you can actually change it manually, and that's just it. And lastly, this is a very important file in your folder, in your Flutter folder. The README.md, this file is really important because it's what people will see when they view your project on sites like GitHub or anywhere else that you're going to post it. A well-written README file can help people understand what your project is about, how to use it, and how to contribute to it. Like it's we are always encouraging collaboration and things like that. So everything to do to help you collaborate with other people, this is the foundation of it, because you're going to describe in detail what your project is going to be doing. So yeah, it's also a great place to include information about your project's license and other important details. It's basically the face of your project. And yeah, that's basically it about the files that are here, that are generated by Flutter. If you have any comments or questions, please do leave them in the comment section. Thank you. Bye. Hi, I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope that you have learned something. If you have any other comments, something to add, just go ahead and drop it in the comment section and share it with your friends, your network, and maybe someone else might benefit from it. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope you are going to do that now. And also turn on your notifications for all the other videos that are coming. Bye.